Two men shot dead outside of a home in southeast Harris County, and police have been at that house most of the day.
Yeah, the bodies were found on the South Jamison Street in Morgan's Point. That's near LaPorte and the Port of Houston. Fox 26's Jade Fleury. She's been there for hours covering this for us. She's got the latest on the investigation.
Yeah, Anthony, the crime scene tape out here was taken down just about 2 hours ago, and the Morgan's Point Police Department is sharing very few details about what led up to the shooting, leaving people with more questions than answers.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything like that to happen.
A quiet neighborhood in the city of Morgan's Point shattered by gunshots early Monday morning. According to police, two men were found shot dead outside of a home on Jamison Street. One man's body found in the front yard and the other in the backyard behind the home.
I had heard two gunshots at first, and that was after I had heard yelling, and I'm not gonna say exactly what she said, but like she was yelling like you ain't it, like stuff like that, calling him vulgar names and stuff like that.
Nearby neighbors watched as first responders worked to save one of the men.
They was giving him CPR. They worked on him a long time with CPR. Next thing we know, they quit. They left the deal in his mouth. They was pumping it, I guess, you know, to give him air. So he must have been alive at the beginning.
While Morgan Point police aren't saying what led up to the shooting and who was involved, some neighbors believe it may have stemmed from an argument over a woman.
You never would dream it'd be your next door neighbors. You never know what's behind somebody's door at their house, ever. And right here close to home, it's sad.
It sounded like they were having an argument, and it just happened, which is surprising because Morgan's Point is really small.
Now, the Morgan's Point Police Department says that this is an isolated incident and that the investigation is ongoing. Reporting from Morgan's Point, Jade Fleury, Fox 26 News.
We now know the name of the little girl who was killed in a fiery Mother's Day crash caused by an intoxicated driver. Now, this is all according to authorities.
Samaria did not make it out of that vehicle last night when that collision took place. It happened on the northbound lanes of I-45 near 1488 around 8 p.m.
Our Abigail Dye actually just spoke with her family within the past hour. Joins us live now with what they had to say. Abigail.
It's just heartbreaking. A 3-year-old little girl is gone, and now her mother and her 5-year-old sister are still in the hospital tonight. They'll have to undergo multiple more surgeries, all because police say someone got behind the wheel intoxicated. Conroe police say that they responded to the scene at the 15,000 block of I-45 northbound, saying a white Camry was stopped on the inside shoulder after a tire blew when a Honda Civic driving in the HOV lane hit the Camry, and both cars caught fire. Siobhan White, her daughter Samaria, and her other 5-year-old daughter were in that white Camry. Bystanders were able to pull out and save Siobhan and the 5-year-old, but sadly, not Samaria. Investigators say 55-year-old Donald Leon Carson was driving the Honda. He has a prior DUI conviction from 2003 in Beaumont, according to records. I just spoke to Samaria's family just about a half hour ago. They are devastated. They're heartbroken, but they say that they're thanking God that they still have 2 of their family members that got out of this horrific incident.
My little niece, we live together. That's the first person that greets me when I get home from work. So to not have that anymore, it hurts. I have to look at my sister, her body. I had to go in there and look at my niece's body, and it's hard. Something I didn't even think I would be going through.
I'm grateful for the 2 that I have, because it could have been worse. I looked at a video that was sent to me of what my daughter's car looked like, and that video doesn't give me an assumption that anybody would have made it out.
You have a life gone too soon that was never ever be able to feel her purpose. She could have been the next president, the next mayor, or anything, but that's something that we will never ever know. And so, you know, with that, I just hope and pray people would make better decisions and choices.
Now, the family says they will be holding a public vigil here at the Church of Jesus Christ from God on Sunbury at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. And they did explicitly thank all of the witnesses who helped Siobhan and her other daughter out of the car on Mother's Day. And coming up at 10, we actually spoke with one of those witnesses. So I'll tell you what he has to say. Reporting live, Abigail Dye, Fox 26 News.
Well, on tonight's Breaking Bond, a 22-year-old violent offender on probation in 2 counties and wanted in a third is back behind bars tonight after being on the run for 6 months.
Relatives of his victim wonder if the judge will just keep granting more bonds. Fox 26's Randy Wallace joining us live from the courthouse with the latest in his ongoing series.
Yeah, Rossi. Now, based on his criminal history, Damian Castillo isn't much on following the law. You can't blame him when you look at the way judges seem to bend over backwards for him.
He has been a fugitive in 3 different counties since October of 24.
He is Damian Castillo. At just 22, he's got quite an array of mugshots. Damian Castillo's ex, a relative, sent an email. They are really in fear of him getting in and out of jail.
I don't blame him, just based on his criminal history and his propensity to offend while he's on probation on bond.
In that email, the victim's relatives point at 230th Criminal District Court Judge Chris Morton. They say Morton kept granting Castillo bond after bond. Then they say Castillo would threaten the family every time he got out.
He violated his probation umpteen amount of times. He had a lot of criminal charges, serious charges, that were ultimately dismissed at the request of the complaining witness.
In 2022, Castillo was sentenced to 5 years probation for deadly conduct. His repeated probation violations and new criminal charges hasn't caused his probation to be revoked. Could Judge Morton have stopped all this?
You could easily argue that the bond should have been much, much higher.
Castillo was also on probation in Travis County for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
The ankle monitor ends up in a landfill, and that was in October of 24.
On May 6th, Precinct 4 Constable deputies arrested Castillo for evading arrest. Deputies say he had 2 guns in his possession and a 16-year-old girl.
I mean, he's obviously a public safety risk. He certainly is a risk to the victim. He's a risk to the community. And every time you release him, he ends up back either reoffending in one form or fashion or in other words. So hopefully this is where the buck stops tonight.
Now, the DA's office has filed a motion to hold Castillo without bond. On May 20th, Judge Morton will decide if Castillo gets yet another bond. Reporting live from the courthouse, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
K-9 and a drone helped Precinct 4 Constable deputies arrest a 42-year-old alleged copper thief. This is after he ran off and tried to hide in a heavily wooded area.
Authorities also used the drone to track down the suspect. Fox 26's Randy Wallace spoke with investigators.
Precinct 4 Constable deputies say 42-year-old Christopher Fry was in a box truck stealing copper from this smoothie king in the 2000 block of Spring Stubner Road.
The deputies arrived, saw him leaving, initiated a traffic stop, and he did fail to stop. Chased him for a few miles till he wasn't able to go any further, and then he bailed on foot, hiding in the fetal position right there. The K-9 officer is right there.
So you all get there when the suspect gets out of his truck and runs into the woods?
Yes, sir.
What happened then?
Once I arrived there, they told me they're in the woods and the drone already had a location of the suspect. Once we knew that situation, I deployed my dog, Artie Moore, and we proceeded to track into the woods.
The suspect, he didn't give up.
No, he did not. We gave him multiple warnings. He was advised that we know where you're at, we know you're in here, come on with your hands up, the dog will be sent.
He didn't do that. He didn't put his hands up. And
not made a sound or nothing like that, so we continue on to look for him.
And the dog bit him?
Yes, sir.
I mean, how difficult would it have been to apprehend this guy if you didn't have the drone or you didn't have the canine?
It'd have been impossible. It'd have just been luck.
Fry was treated for his injuries and jailed under charges of evading on foot and felony theft. Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
A family living in Montgomery County is demanding accountability tonight after their loved one was gunned down in a New Caney trailer park.
They say the sheriff's office was warned about the alleged shooter and that the violence could have been prevented. Fox 26's Abigail Dye reports.
My dad was standing here working on his truck, and this is where his head was when he went down. The bullet holes are here, so apparently he must have been standing like this.
Is this a bullet hole?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you can see it go straight through. Audrey Ritchie shows me where her father was shot 5 times while working on his truck. He lived in this trailer, and where did the suspect live?
Directly behind him.
The trailer right next to him.
Yes.
67-year-old Billy Fisher gunned down here at the 1485 RV park in the middle of the day Saturday. The shooter, his neighbor, 58-year-old Timothy Cisco, according to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office.
Got my phone, called 911, and came out here and was begging my uncle to get up, and he wouldn't move.
I get a call from the family saying that he's just been shot, and they're screaming and yelling. I'm on the phone with them, and I could just hear him gurgling, trying to catch his breath.
He was the glue to our family, now falling apart.
Families on both sides of this tragedy say what happened here could have been prevented. How many times was the Montgomery County Sheriff called before this killing happened?
4 times. The day of, and 3 others.
He had already made several calls and warning them about this guy.
Cisco's a convicted felon with charges dating back to the 80s, and his family says he's also schizophrenic.
First and foremost, I want to send, from my family, our deepest sympathies to the victim's family.
How many times was Montgomery County called before this killing happened?
3 days in a row.
I asked the sheriff's office to interview with me about these concerns. They declined, issuing a statement confirming that they responded to 2 calls here prior to the killing, one on May 8th and on the 9th, one of which Cisco was issued a citation.
I'm not excusing anything that my brother did by any means. A man was murdered. But what I am saying is something else could have been done.
If they would have searched or dug a little more, I would think they would have been able to stop a cold-blooded murderer.
You can read that full response on our website.
The 14-year-old James Ayala Lopez died over the weekend. You can still see behind me the remnants of that deadly crash. Now, his parents tell me this is something they could have never prepared for, the death of their son. Now, the person who's facing charges is a family member.
He called me and requested some flower for his mom, and he wanna give her flowers, and I buy it for him.
Those were the last moments Elmer Lopez had with his son, 14-year-old James Lopez Ayala. James gifted his mother flowers for Mother's Day, then left to a graduation party.
Something so strong, like I can't believe it yet. It's like a bad dream. When I close my eyes and I open, I want to feel like he's there on my side, but he's not here anymore.
James was in the car with his 16-year-old cousin, who was a driver, and his best friend, who was also 14 years old. Houston police are investigating the deadly crash. All investigators have said is the 2 teens fleeing from the scene, then returning, and the 16-year-old is being charged with failure to stop and rendering aid.
It is difficult that this involves family members. We have not had any contact with him. We leave everything in God's hands and to the justice system. We hope that justice is served.
James is being remembered as a teen who loves sneakers, smelling and looking good, for his growing passion and aspiration of becoming a professional boxer.
He worked hard at it. He would put all his effort into what he wanted to become, but his dreams were cut short.
Si yo pudiera retroceder el tiempo.
If I could turn back the time, I would have spent more time with him. I'd be more present. I'd stop doing the many things that kept me occupied to just be with him.
The cause of the crash is still being investigated by Houston police. Meanwhile, the Ayala Lopez family are preparing to lay James to rest. They have created a GoFundMe page to help with the funeral costs. Reporting live in Southwest Houston, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.
Well, the man accused of killing a Houston area real estate agent in Dallas is back on the streets after being let out on bond.
He has a long criminal history. Fox 26's Jillian Hartman spoke with the victim's family, who is pushing for bond reform.
Well, we learned the man accused of murdering a local real estate agent is now out on bond. Kendrick Finch was charged with the shooting death of Ashlee Long during a night out in Dallas. As her family grieves her loss, her stepsister, Jillian Kimber, says it's unbelievable that Finch is walking free.
I think it's just crazy that you have the chance of seeing your stepsister's murder at the gas pump in Dallas, and I just don't think that that's right. And there should be no bond for a murder of this stature. And I do think that it deserves a good trial, but for someone to be able to walk the streets as a family, you know, we were all taken back.
To keep Ashlee's story alive, Jillian created this website called Justice for Ashlee. The family says Ashlee was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time, and this could have happened to anyone.
And Ashlee was a beautiful, sweet, funny, on the rise real estate agent, classic Texas girl. And this could have been anyone, I guess, is one point that we wanted to make. And we want this platform to be a way for people to learn about Ashlee, keep up with her case, because this is going to be a very long road. You know, we want people to reach out to everyone they can, law enforcement, county officials, Texas legislatives, to push that, you know, we want to keep our streets safe. This isn't just about Ashlee, it's about everyone else's daughter and sister too, you know? And it's a real issue, and I don't understand how Texas, of all places, is going to be one to let criminals walk.
Ashlee's family says they are doing everything they can to fight for justice. I'm Jillian Hartman for Fox 26 News.
With Harris County deputies looking for a killer. Happened in spring last night on the 4,000 block of Fitzwater Drive. Fox 26's Jade Fleury has more.
We spoke to a neighbor who reported hearing gunshots last night and found the couple dead in their home. She was too emotional to speak to us on camera, but now investigators are trying to go through surveillance footage to figure out what happened.
They're a very nice couple, and it's a shame that happened to them.
A neighborhood in the Spring area stunned by a shocking double homicide. Police arrived at the house here behind me to find a couple who believed to be in their 50s or 60s, dead with multiple gunshot wounds. One neighbor witnessed Friday's scene.
I heard a bunch of gunshots, and then I walked down the street because I wanted to see what was happening, and there was lines of cops down here that they had it all blocked off right here.
Investigators also noticed damage to the back door of the home. They confirmed a weapon was also recovered at the scene.
We did find a small caliber handgun.
Neighbors in the community say crime is rare here.
And what were your thoughts when you heard about what happened?
I was amazed because that's really doesn't happen in this neighborhood. Like, you never really hear no gunshots. I mean, if you do, it's from the range down there, but other than that, you don't hear no gunshots, you don't hear no homicides and like that. It was out of the blue.
Those couple, I mean, they were very nice. They were very friendly. I actually didn't speak to them, but I saw them every day. She would work in the yard every day, and I would wave hi.
I don't really know what happened, but that's sad. That shouldn't happen to anybody. It shouldn't happen to anybody.
Investigators say they still don't have any motive for the murder and still don't have any suspects identified. Reporting from Spring, Jade Fleury, Fox 26 News.
Now to an officer-involved shooting in North Houston that left one person dead. It happened just along the North Freeway near West Road, just around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Fox 26's Jonathan Mejia is there live with the latest. Jonathan, what do you know?
Houston police are investigating this officer-involved shooting that left the suspect dead following a car crash. Here's what we know. Officials were responding to a two-vehicle crash. According to HPD, people from both vehicles claimed a green SUV, a third vehicle, caused the crash. Police located that vehicle and attempted to speak to the driver, who they believe was intoxicated, before things took a deadly turn.
The male, at a certain point, then brandished a pistol, at which point officers discharged their firearms. They tried to provide medical aid, but quickly realized that the male was deceased.
This is an ongoing investigation by Houston police, and they say they will release body cam footage within the 30 days. Reporting live in North Houston, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.